1933, and Germany needed a new dictator. The people elected a man with a strange moustache and a clean haircut. But little did they know he would start a period that no one didn't want to be in. 1939 rolled around, and this man decided to invade his neighbouring country, Poland. This marked the start of World War II. Britain heard the news about the invasion, declaring war, dragging Australia, New Zealand and the Commonwealth into this mess. Britain had to find an area to keep their warships to defend the Suez Canal, a very important shipping lane. What they found was perfect. They found a port in Libya called Tobruk. It had an airbase, deep water port to keep their battleships and nice open plains. As always, there was a catch. Italy had already occupied the port. Britain had hatched a plan that drove the Italians out, which was called Operation Compass. Thankfully, their plan worked and successfully drove the Italians away forever. Well, that's what they thought. After that victorious day, the Allied forces had been shipping out all their soldiers to the Middle East to get military training. On the 10th of April 1941, Italy had come back bigger and stronger than ever. They had Germany on their side. The Allied forces weren't expecting this. They were outnumbered. This led them to retreat out to the Egyptian border. Most of the army retreated whilst others stayed behind to defend the port. They cleverly made mines and barbed wire and dug anti-tank trenches to keep the enemy out. 3 days after the siege began, the Allied troops were strategically positioned onto the outskirts of town. Germany had their tanks and infantry charging into the town, thinking that the enemies were there. The sneaky Allied troops stayed low and out of the Germans' vision. Once the Germans were inside town, the Allied troops would jump out and eliminate all the infantry, leaving the tanks open and free. The artillery would take it from there and eliminate all the tanks. The Allied forces captured 33 tanks that day. General Archibald Wavell ordered the Australians to hold and defend the port for 8 weeks, but they fought for 5 months before being relieved by British and Polish troops. The Germans ended up retreating in December 1941 after suffering from heavy losses and running out of supplies. This marked the first time Germany had ever lost in World War II. General Lieutenant Erwin Rommel was the mastermind behind the Siege of Tobruk and Hitler's closest general. In 1944, someone brought in a briefcase into one of Hitler's meetings. Inside the briefcase was a bomb, and it was supposed to kill Hitler, but it failed. There was interrogations and torturings until Rommel's name was mentioned as a possible conspirator. Hitler wanted him to be executed, but he had the choice to suicide or have his family executed. He chose to commit suicide by taking a cyanide pill. Australia has commemorated this event in a really special way. After the events of the ending of World War II, Australia turned a military base into a cheap suburb for veterans called North Ryde. The suburb still exists and many residents still live in it today. Since the suburb is for veterans of World War II, they've named the streets after different battles that Australia has taken part in, such as Kokoda Street and Tobruk Street. They've also named the streets after famous veterans such as Edmondson Street, Moorshead Road and Truscott Street. Australia has commemorated this event in a really special way. After the events of the ending of World War II, Australia turned a military base into a cheap suburb for veterans